Hello and welcome to the OpShin Pioneer Program, week 3, lecture 6. And this week we start off where we stopped last lecture, and we noticed that our script, they are good, they are fine, the transactions passed, but the transactions are quite large. Most of these transactions is, by now that we are writing more and more complex smart contracts, most of the transaction size is actually taken up by just providing the contract itself that we are executing on chain. So as you can see here, it's actually 90% of the transaction that's the script size of 4 kilobytes. And we know that the maximum size of a transaction is around 16 kilobytes. So as our scripts get more and more complex, this will become an issue. This is why Cardano has introduced something called reference scripts. Reference scripts are attached to a UTXO, similar to a datum, and then sent into the reside in the unspent transaction output set. And in another transaction, you can then reference in a transaction that executes a script. You can now reference this reference script, include it as a reference input to your transaction. And what this does is it tells the node, okay, I don't have the script, I won't include it in the transaction because it's, I don't know, it's too large, I don't want to put it there. But actually it's already on the chain. You just look at this transaction output. And this will drastically reduce the size of transactions and also the size of the blockchain consequentially, because otherwise basically the blockchain history contains all the transactions that always duplicate the scripts, which is extremely wasteful. Right. The downside is we need to deploy the reference scripts before we can actually use them. Common practice is that we send the script, or that's actually defined in a CIP, is that we send this reference, as you have heard, I can basically attach a script to any output. And what's best practice is to attach it to an output that goes to the script address without the datum. And then this means you can never actually withdraw the ADA again from this contract, from this contract. But the good side is anyone can reference this UTXO now and use the script, and they can be sure that this reference will not go away suddenly because it cannot be spent. We have provided some tooling for submitting reference scripts in the OpShin Pioneer program in scripts, source utils. No, it's in week 3. Submit ref scripts. And what we are doing here is also we are getting us info, getting the context, and then we are constructing transactions which load the script, try to check whether there's already a reference UTXO with that script somewhere on chain, and if not, we construct a transaction that has first just one ADA, and as a script, now usually we set the datum or just the value, but here we actually set the script to the script that we want to deploy. And we send this to the contract script address, right? To the address, which is controlled by the script hash. The benefit of this is if I want to execute a contract with this hash, I can just look at this address and take the first output that's lying there and has a script attached to it, and or check at least check all of these outputs, and if any of them has a script and has the right script attached, I'm already good. And I don't, because otherwise again you cannot really look for any output that references exactly the script I want to spend. This way it's easier. You can just look at the address of the script hash and you will find the output. Now, there's something called min UTXO on Cardano, which is a minimum amount of loveless you need to attach to any output depending on the size of the output. And usually this doesn't matter too much because transactions are small, and this means the minimum UTXO for these transactions is just 1 ADA, for example. But scripts are large, so you will usually find that the script is somewhere between that the minimum UTXO for these is somewhere between 20 and 50 or 60 loveless, 60 ADA. So what we do is just we use minimum loveless. And that's a function that PyCardano provides us to compute actually how much loveless we need to attach, and then we add this output. And now if I let this running, you will see how it one after another submits the scripts onto the chain. Let's actually let Alice submit these scripts. Actually, just be a click argument as always. So let's let Alice submit these scripts. Okay. You see the first one was successful, was sent here, and it will arrive shortly on chain. Now the second one, get a value not conserved UTXO some error, and the problem is we are trying to spend funds, we create new outputs, and then we try to spend again from these outputs. But the previous one is not on chain yet, so we get an error from the node saying, oh, you're trying to spend something that's actually already gone. So what we will do is we will try and then accept, and we'll just pass here and put this in a loop. And now we can try this again. Here we actually find that this reference script already exists. And this breaks. This is not what we actually want. We want to continue here and then try the next one. Now we deploy the parameterized vesting, and that worked. And if there would have been an error, we'll get it later. We will just retry. So now looking at the transaction, we can actually see here's some funds that are being spent, and then there's one output to this address, which we already know. This is the staking contract, the vesting contract. Previously we sent datums here. Now we sent a reference script with 16 ADA attached. And that's because the script is quite large. We have 3 kilobytes transaction, and most of this is the reference script that we attached, and the minimum UTXO for this is then 16 ADA. And for the parameterized script, you see that it's a bit larger because exactly the 3.7 kilobytes versus 3. Okay, and it's not actually visible on this level, but it's visible on the Linear.txt because we have attached the parameter now as part of the script, so the script has grown in size. Now we have deployed the scripts, but we are yet to use them. And what we will do now is let's send some funds again to the Western contract. Nothing has changed about the Western contract. We just send funds there again. Not collect, but make West for Bob. Alice Bob. Okay, now we send funds again. We to the same contract address, but now we use collect funds, collect West reference script version. And what we do here is, instead of providing the script, previously we provided the entire script when trying to execute when telling the node about what's the script for a hash. And now we use a function called getRef_utxo, which essentially does what I described earlier. It goes to the smart contract address, goes through all the outputs, checks if the script attached is the script what we're looking for, and then returns that. And now we actually use that ref_utxo and provide it instead of the script to PyCardano, and it will know how to handle this. So collect West ref for Bob, and now as soon as this one makes it on the chain, we will see that the transaction size is actually considerably smaller than for our previous spending transactions. Let's just have a look again at the previous transaction. This one is our previous output, and our previous spending. Here we can see it. We spent from the address with the datum. This one was 3.5 kilobytes large. And now this transaction, as soon as it's on chain, again, most of this is actually the script size, and we have seen that also when we submit the reference script, the transaction has the same size, and but actually only once. Whereas when we supply the script, every transaction that we would have to withdraw the funds would be 3.5 kilobytes large. With the reference scripts now we only have one transaction with this size, and then all the subsequent transactions will be much smaller. Just have to make sure that the transaction at some point arrives on chain. Okay, according to Blockfrost, it's already spent. You can also, if you are as impatient as me, you can also just check on different explorers if maybe it's already on one or the other. The issue is preview, right? So that's the issue, right? And now we have a transaction size of only 0.4 kilobytes, significantly smaller than the 3 kilobytes that we had before. And also the fees, previously we paid almost 0.4 ADA for a transaction, now we only pay 0.2. And this is only because the transaction is smaller. Nothing has changed about the contract hash is the same and everything, but now we provide the script in this reference input, and this makes the transaction much smaller. All right, so whenever you hit this issue that transactions with your D app are very expensive or that transactions are very large, make sure to use reference scripts and inspect the created transactions so that you really have your reference scripts here. All right, see you in the next lecture, where we will already discuss the homework.